Okay, let's see if I can show y'all how I do my little gingerbread men. I've already got them base coated with I like to call it a cooked cookie looking brown color. And then I'm going to shade around the outer edge with burnt sienna. And let's do this one real quick. I don't think this one was quite as dry as the other one. The other one is finally laid back flat, but this one is still a little curled. But that's okay. I think we can get enough there that you can get the idea anyway. So then I take and I just do a little band, because I don't put a hat on my gingerbread man. Let's see, we'll use this little brush right here. And all I'm doing is brush mixing a little bit of, I believe it was called berry wine, was my reddish color. And we're just going to base coat that little section on each one of these. Now normally I wouldn't have drawn the pencil line so dark, but I was trying to do it so y'all could see what I was doing. And then this is just putting the little faces on. And I'm going to take the same color and base coat in a little nose. I just do a little blob for the nose, especially on pieces that are so small. If I do the bigger pieces, I try to get the nose a little bit neater looking. Then let's go back to the angle brush, because I can tend to work with it a little bit better when it comes to all the floating. And we will float underneath the little mouth area so that we can create the shadow and the dimension for the mouth and the little lower lip. Then I'm going to take a little bit of the white and I don't want too much, but just enough that it kind of brings the top lip forward a little bit. Okay, now let's see if that little band on his head is dry enough to attempt a little bit of shading. So we'll add some of the full strength berry wine color and create a little shadow. And I hope this is showing up. If it isn't, I'm sorry. One of these days I'll get a better way of doing this, but for now, this is it. And we'll shade the top. And see if this one's dry enough that we can shade it. Okay, now we'll go back and add that burnt sienna color underneath the band, and by doing this it will give the illusion that it is raised off the surface because it creates the shadow behind it and makes it look like a piece that's layered on instead of just flat and painted on. I float and shade just about everything I do because I like the dimension that it creates. And whether it's a highlight or a shadow, it still adds dimension to the piece that you're doing. Okay, now let's go back to that reddish color, and we're going to do the little cheeks. I wish I had gotten my smaller angle brush, but it wasn't as feasible to try to get it once I started this. And we'll add more of the burnt sienna to the outside edges of the little cheeks, or smile lines as I like to call them. And then we are going to take some of that same red mixture and a little small brush, and we're going to do the little tongue inside the mouth. I'd had great hopes that getting these new glasses was going to make it easier to see the little bitty detail, but I don't know. It hasn't helped as much as I would like for it to. Okay, those will have to dry a minute, so what we're going to do now is we're going to load some of the white back on the brush. It might be a little too much. I don't want it to be too stark. And we're going to put a highlight by doing a little back-to-back float of the white right down the center of the ribbon. And by doing it as a back-to-back float, it fades the white color to either side of the center. And then you can take a stylus and come in and add some little dots to be like a little edge on the ribbon. You could do this with a brush just as well. I just had the stylus laying here. My paint has set out and got thick about the time I was going to start this. My phone rang, so I didn't get to do it right away. But you get the idea. And you can be as fancy with this as you want. You could add more dots, less dots. You could add just a little white band, but that just gives a little foo-foo to the edge. Okay, now let's take, I've got to get him some eyes on there. And I'm going to attempt to use this, well, let's do this one. This little brush here to do that. And see how this works. Okay. That gets him some eyes. Now let's get some little highlights on some areas. I like to pull a few little bright pieces in right at the center of the ribbon. So let's do a touch there and there, and across his nose. Okay, the eyes aren't quite dry enough to add their highlights. And we're going to take this little brush and we'll try a little side load with it. I want a super light pink color to come in here and accent the little lower lip with. And my paint dries out so fast under the light over here. Let's see. Okay. That will work for that. Now, this poor old liner brush that I keep trying to make these eyelashes with, we will attempt to make him work. Okay. Now, sometimes when I do that little bitty detail work like that, I have to kind of hold my breath in order to not feel like I stray off the section I'm working on. Okay, on this particular one here, I don't normally do a lot of black outlining on these, but these are so small, the faces are, that I'm going to add some little line work. Just to accent them a little bit more. Okay, and then you need to do the whites of the eyes. So we'll see if we can do that with this little brush. Let's get the other one done. Okay, so there's the two little faces up to that point. Now, let's see if we can add just a little bit of spattering. And I'm using just a little bit of burnt umber. You want the spattering to be a little bit darker so that it helps create your dimension. And then, trusty little rag here so I can clean my toothbrush some. We are going to add just a little bit of white, and that pretty much would be it. And then that'll be the little gingerbread man face.